Let's talk about how 16 gigs of RAM enough for gaming nowadays.
No.
You want to give an example of the one build that I know David was sending a build over there that he's having some issues with. It depends on the game too.
So I think it was actually one of his personal. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, we see a lot of times nowadays when we're playing, like let's say Warzone, or really just any new AAA title, that you're likely going to be using about 10 to 13 gigs. Now, have I seen a game use 16? No, I have not seen that. However, if you're streaming and playing games and stuff, 16 might actually not be enough. If you're trying to play demanding games at decent settings, I have a 2080 Super at home with the 3700X, which Matt does as well. Yep. And we both have 32 gigs, and there's times where I will see my PC using about 16, 17 while I'm streaming and playing Call of Duty. Yeah. So does that mean that you need 32? No, not at all.
You don't need
I still think 16 is kind of like the new gaming PC norm or minimum. And then I think 8 gigs nowadays is just the minimum.
Yes.
You could technically do 4 if you're only doing like office applications, but I can't remember when the last time we did a 4 gig PC was.
Yeah, I wouldn't even recommend it. And I know like a lot of newer games like Call of Duty and whatnot, they'll use as much RAM as you give them. So like if you have 16, most of the time the only, like as Jackson mentioned, you'll end up with like 12 to 13 gigs of actual usage throughout the whole PC. But if you throw 32 gigs at it, sometimes like if you have a couple Chrome tabs open and stuff, I've seen my PC hit like 20 gigs of RAM being used and everything. Like it depends on background tabs
I've never seen mine
too.
Get that high.
Yeah. When's the last time you had the stream open and looked up like RAM usage and stuff?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a long time.
Yeah, because like when I was doing game capture stuff, even when I was doing like the MSI Afterburner tutorial and I had like a couple web browser pages open, I was like getting 18, 19 gigs of RAM in like Cold War. So
yeah, no, and that's a good. Yeah, so 32 would be good. 32 is like the recommended, if in our opinion, if you're going to be doing a lot of game streaming of higher end games. If you're just playing like Fortnite and Minecraft just like that on stream, no, fine. 16 is plenty. So yeah, if your son's using 16, that's what all of our builds, we do 16. Like, we very rarely do 32 gig. The only time we really do 32 gig is if the build is over like $1,500. Any less than that, we always go 16 because it's an easy upgrade. It's very simple. It's usually cheap. Like to add an extra 16, it might be about $80, $60, something along those lines.
Yeah.
80, 60.
But yeah, RAM is so cheap too. That's the one thing that's still kind of cheap. I know prices are getting slightly higher right now, but RAM in general is really cheap, and it's one of those upgrades that like it'll help you out a lot. Especially if you get a motherboard that supports more than 32 gigs of RAM. You go with like 2 16 gig sticks, and then you have the upgrade support in the future for like long-term upgrades. I don't know when you would ever really need 64 gigs, but there's some situations where that might make a lot of sense for you.
So that's a good question. This kind of is related. What about VRAM for games? What do you think is the minimum now? I hear people complaining about the 10 gigs on a 3080 isn't enough, yet a 2070 Super is only 8 gigs, and I don't seem to have any issues playing the latest AAA titles.
Depends what resolution.
The people who are complaining, they're probably running 4K. They're probably enthusiasts. They're probably a bunch of weirdo neckbeards. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what? That's a compelling point of why people sleep on these new AMD cards. Like the other day, and I'm not gonna lie, this is just me being stupid and ignorant because I haven't paid a lot of attention to the AMD stuff, even though we've done a couple 6800 builds. Those things have 16 gigs of VRAM. So if you're after a lot of VRAM for gaming and you're not doing any crazy NVENC stuff, honestly, the 6800 and 6800 XT makes so much more sense than a 3070 or 3080 if you're running like higher resolutions. 16 gigs of VRAM, you're literally almost doubling what a lot of the NVIDIA cards have. However, with the 2080 Super, like I was using a 2060 Super before that, and I was streaming with it, and is that a 6 gig card?
Yeah. Well, 2080 Super is an 8 gig.
No, 2060.
Oh,
Super.
2060.
That's
yeah, 2060
right?
Super is at 8 gig. Yeah.
It's 8 gig or 6?
Yeah, the 2060 Super.
Oh, okay, it's 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was using the 2060 Super before that, and I had no issues streaming. Like I was playing Warzone and any game that I wanted to, like medium high settings on stream, like pretty high usage with NVENC encoder, and I didn't have any issues. I just got upgraded to 2080 because we had it. I was like, why not?